Wu stood at the entrance of the Advanced Combat Theory classroom, her fingers nervously adjusting the silk scarf wrapped around her neck. The fabric was soft and colorful, decorated with small flowers. She wore it every day, never taking it off in public. Some students whispered about it, but she ignored them. The classroom was enormous. It could fit 200 students easily. Most of the seats were already filled with aliens from different worlds. They were big, strong, and looked dangerous. Wu was small compared to them. She was barely 5 feet tall, thin, and quiet. She looked like she didn't belong here. She walked down the stairs toward an empty seat. Every step felt heavy. Eyes followed her. Some aliens laughed quietly. Others just stared with curiosity or disgust. Wu kept her head down and found a seat in the back corner. She put her bag down and sat carefully. "Look, another human," someone said loudly. The voice came from a huge reptilian creature 3 rows ahead. His name was Yang, and there were famous warriors across the galaxy. They had thick scales like armor, sharp claws, and teeth that could bite through metal. Yang was 7 feet tall with dark green scales that shimmered under the lights. "I heard they accepted 3 humans this year," another alien said. This one was a silicate. Her body was made of crystal that reflected light in rainbow colors. The silicates were ancient and wise, but they thought humans were fragile and unimportant. 3 charity cases to make the humans feel included. Several students laughed. Wu pretended not to hear. She opened her tablet and started reading the lesson material. Her face stayed calm, but her hand moved to touch her scarf again. It was a habit she had when she felt nervous or angry. The door at the front of the classroom opened. Everyone went quiet immediately. Instructor entered the room. He was like Yang, but much older and larger. Scars covered his scales, proof of many battles. He was a legend, a warrior who had fought in the border wars 30 years ago. Everyone respected him. Everyone feared him. Walked to the front and looked across the classroom. His yellow eyes were cold and sharp. They stopped on Wu for a moment. She thought she saw disappointment in his expression, but he looked away quickly. "Welcome to Advanced Combat Theory," said. His voice was deep and powerful. "This class is not easy. This class is not for everyone. Many of you will fail. Some of you should not be here at all." He pressed a button and a hologram appeared above his desk. It showed different weapons and fighting techniques from across the galaxy. Combat is about survival. Only the strong survive. Only warriors deserve respect. Wu wrote notes on her tablet. She had studied hard to get into this academy. The Galactic Academy only accepted the best students from every species. Humans were new to the galactic community. First contact happened only 40 years ago. Most aliens still didn't trust humans. They thought humans were weak, primitive, and lucky to be included in galactic society. "Today we begin with team simulations," announced. "You will work in groups of 4. The simulation will test your combat skills, strategy, and teamwork. Your performance will determine your grade for this month." The hologram changed to show the team assignments. Wu looked for her name. She was in Group 7 with Yang and Ho. Her heart sank. Ho was a species with 4 arms and incredible strength. He was sitting near Yang and both of them were already laughing. "This will be fun," Yang said loud enough for everyone to hear. "We got the human." "Try not to die in the first minute, little human," Ho added. His 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. The teams moved to the simulation chambers. These were large rooms with holographic technology that created realistic combat scenarios. Wu followed her team quietly. Yang walked ahead like a leader, floated beside him, her crystalline body making soft musical sounds. Ho stomped along, making the floor shake with each step. Inside the simulation chamber, they received their mission briefing. They had to defend a supply depot from enemy attackers. It was a basic military exercise. Wu had read about it in the textbook. She knew the best strategy was to set up defensive positions and use cover effectively. "I will take the front position," Yang announced immediately. Ho, you cover the left side. You give us information from above. The human can stay in the back and try not to get in the way. I can help with strategy, Wu said softly, if we position ourselves differently. Did anyone ask you? Yang turned to face her. His yellow eyes were cold. Humans know nothing about combat. Your species only joined the galaxy yesterday. Let the real warriors handle this. The simulation started before Wu could respond. Enemy holograms appeared from all directions. They were fast and well-armed. Yang charged forward immediately, roaring and slashing with his claws. Ho followed, using his four arms to fight multiple enemies at once. Rose into the air, shooting energy beams from her crystalline body. Wu stayed back like Yang ordered. She watched the battle carefully. Within 2 minutes, she could see the mistakes. Yang was too aggressive, leaving the defensive position exposed. Ho was strong but slow, and enemies were getting past him, was too far away to support them effectively. Pull back to the depot, Wu shouted. You are too spread out. No one listened. Yang kept attacking. Within 5 minutes, the simulation ended. The team failed. The supply depot was destroyed and all team members were marked as casualties. The hologram disappeared. The chamber lights came back on. Instructor's voice came through the speakers. Group 7, report back to the classroom. They walked back in silence. Well, mostly silence. Yang was angry and kept hitting the walls with his tail. When they reached the classroom, was waiting with his arms crossed. Explain your failure, he said simply. Yang spoke first. The simulation was unfair. The enemies were too many. The enemies were standard level for this exercise, replied. Every other team succeeded. Group 4 completed it in 3 minutes. Yang's scales darkened with embarrassment. He looked around for someone to blame. His eyes landed on Wu. It was the human's fault. She distracted us with her useless suggestions. If she wasn't on our team, we would have won. Several students in the classroom laughed. Some nodded in agreement. Wu felt her face grow hot, but she stayed quiet. Her hand moved to her scarf again. Is that true, human? Asked. Did you distract your team? Wu looked up at the instructor. I tried to help. I suggested better positioning, but no one listened. Of course we didn't listen, Yang said angrily. Why would warriors take advice from a prey species? Humans are soft. Humans are weak. You have no claws, no armor, no strength. Your planet is so safe that you never learn to fight. You don't belong in this classroom. You don't belong in this academy. The classroom went completely silent. Everyone waited to see what would happen. Wu stood up slowly. She looked small compared to Yang, like a mouse standing before a dragon, but her eyes were steady. She didn't look scared. You think you know about humans, she said quietly. You don't. Yang laughed. What do I need to know? Your species is barely 2 generations into space travel. You have no warrior tradition, no honor, no strength. Wu's hand touched her scarf one more time. For just a moment, something seemed to glow beneath the fabric. It was so quick that no one was sure they really saw it. One day, Wu said softly, you will understand what you are saying. One day you will know what humans really are. She picked up her bag and walked toward the exit. Yang called after her, Where are you going? Class isn't over. I need air, Wu said without turning around. She left the classroom. The door closed behind her with a soft sound. In the hallway, another human was waiting. His name was Wu, one of the other 2 human students at the academy. He looked worried. I heard what happened. Are you okay? Wu nodded slowly. I'm fine. You should report Yang. What he said was wrong. No, Wu said. Reporting him won't change anything. They need to see, not be told. Wu looked at her scarf. Are you thinking about showing them? Wu was quiet for a long moment. Not yet, but soon. They keep pushing and they don't understand what they're pushing against. They walked together down the empty hallway. Behind them in the classroom, instructor dismissed the class. Yang celebrated with his friends. laughing about the weak human girl. He had no idea that he had just made a terrible mistake. He had no idea what was sleeping beneath that colorful scarf. And soon, very soon, he would learn the truth about humanity. He would learn why the dragon should never be awakened. 3 weeks passed after the failed simulation. Life at the Galactic Academy became harder for Wu every day. Yang and his friends made sure of that. They started small. They would arrive early to class and take all the good seats, forcing Wu to sit in uncomfortable positions where she couldn't see the instructor well. They would talk loudly during lectures, making jokes about humans being pets or decorations. When Wu tried to participate in class discussions, they would laugh or make rude sounds until she stopped talking. Then the sabotage began. One morning, Wu arrived at the combat training facility to find her practice equipment damaged. The safety settings on her training weapons had been turned off, making them dangerous. The straps on her protective gear were cut almost all the way through. If she had used them without checking, she could have been seriously hurt. She reported it to the equipment manager, a bored silicate who barely looked up from his tablet. "Equipment malfunctions happen. Be more careful." "This wasn't a malfunction," Wu said calmly. "Someone did this on purpose." The manager finally looked at her. "Do you have proof? Did you see anyone near your equipment?" "No, but—" "Then there's nothing I can do. Next student, please." Wu left without arguing. She knew complaining wouldn't help. The academy staff didn't take human students seriously. To them, humans were a curiosity, a new species that would probably drop out soon anyway. That afternoon, she went to the library to study for an upcoming test. The library was her favorite place on the station. It was quiet, peaceful, and full of knowledge from thousands of worlds. She found a private study room and spread out her materials. 2 hours later, when she opened her bag to get a snack, she found all her data chips were missing. These chips contained months of notes, research, and assignments. Without them, she would fail multiple classes. Her hands shook as she searched through her bag again and again. They were definitely gone. Wu put her head down on the table. She didn't cry. She had stopped crying years ago during her training, but she felt tired, so very tired. "They took your data chips." Wu looked up. The silicate from her combat class stood in the doorway. Her crystalline body gleamed in the library lights. She was holding a small container. "I saw Ho take them from your bag during lunch," said. "I thought you should know." She placed the container on the table and turned to leave. "Wait," Wu said. "Why are you telling me this? You're friends with Yang." Was quiet for a moment. "I am not friends with anyone. Silicates do not have friends the way other species do, but I understand fairness. What they are doing is not a fair test of your abilities. It is simply cruelty." She paused. "Also, I looked up human history last week. After our first class, I was curious. What I found was disturbing." "Disturbing how?" "Your species fought wars that killed millions. You created weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. You nearly made your planet uninhabitable several times." His voice sounded different, less cold. "Most species in the galaxy have never experienced total war. We fight over resources or territory, but we follow rules. We stop when it becomes too costly. Humans don't stop. You fight until one side is completely destroyed or surrenders. That level of violence is alien to us. It frightens us." Wu nodded slowly. "Is that why everyone treats us like we're dangerous animals?" "Some think that. Others think you are weak because you come from such a violent world and yet you choose peace now. They think violence made you soft, not strong." Moved toward the door again. "I have not decided what I think yet, but I know that judging any species before understanding them is foolish." She left without another word. Wu opened the container. Inside were her data chips, completely intact. She held them carefully, feeling a small bit of warmth in her chest. Maybe not everyone at the academy was against her. The next day in combat theory class, instructor made an announcement. In 2 weeks, We will have mandatory combat assessments. Each student will face one opponent in the arena. This test counts for 30% of your final grade. The matches will be public and all students are required to attend. Excited whispers filled the classroom. Combat assessments were always popular events. Students loved watching the fights, cheering for their favorite species, and betting on the outcomes. Continued, the matches will follow standard academy rules. No lethal force, no permanent damage, everything else is permitted. You may use any fighting style or technique you know. The match ends when one fighter surrenders, is knocked unconscious, or the referee stops the fight. Yang raised his hand. Instructor, can we choose our opponents? No, opponents will be assigned randomly to ensure fair testing. Eyes swept across the room. However, if two students mutually agree to face each other and both have legitimate educational reasons for the match, I will consider allowing it. Yang smiled, showing all his sharp teeth. After class, he walked straight to Wu. His friends followed him like shadows. Students in the hallway stopped to watch. Human, Yang said loudly, I challenge you to a teaching bout for the combat assessment. Wu looked up at him calmly. A teaching bout. Yes, where a superior fighter teaches an inferior one about real combat. I think you need this lesson. Your species knows nothing about fighting. I will demonstrate proper warrior techniques. It will be educational for everyone watching. His voice was mocking, but his eyes were cruel. The hallway was completely silent now. Every student within hearing distance had stopped to listen. This was important. If Wu refused, humans would be labeled as cowards. The rumors would spread across the entire academy, maybe even across the galaxy. Future human students would suffer because of her choice. But if she accepted, she would face a trained warrior in front of hundreds of witnesses. Yang was bigger, stronger, faster, and trained in combat since childhood. He would humiliate her. He might even hurt her badly. The medical technology at the academy was excellent, but pain was still pain. Why do you want to fight me? Wu asked quietly. What did I do to you? Yang leaned down until his face was close to hers. His breath smelled like raw meat. You exist. Your species exists. You don't belong here, but you're too stupid to understand that. Someone needs to teach you the truth. Someone needs to show everyone what humans really are. Weak, fragile, prey. Wu was quiet for a long moment. Her hand moved to her scarf, touching it gently. Then she smiled. It was a small smile, sad and tired, but there was something else in it too. Something that made Yang take a step back without knowing why. I accept your challenge, she said clearly. The hallway exploded with noise. Students talked excitedly, already spreading the news. Some looked at Wu with pity. Others looked excited to see the show. Yang laughed triumphantly and walked away with his friends, already celebrating his victory. Wu pushed through the crowd to reach Wu. Are you crazy? He's going to destroy you. Maybe, Wu said. Then why did you accept? Because it's time. Wu started walking toward her dormitory. They need to see, all of them. They keep judging humanity based on what they think we are. They don't understand what we really are, what we've always been. Wu followed her. Are you going to show them the tattoo? I have to. Wu touched her scarf again. My grandmother told me to wait until the right moment. This is it. After this fight, everything will be different. That evening, Wu sat alone in her small dormitory room. The walls were plain gray metal, decorated only with a few pictures from Earth. One photo showed her family in front of an old Korean temple. Another showed her grandmother, a small woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Wu activated her communication device and called Earth. It took several minutes for the connection to reach across the vast distance of space. When her grandmother's face appeared on the screen, Wu smiled. She said in Korean, I need to talk to you. Her grandmother looked at her granddaughter carefully. Even across the light years of space, she could see the weight Wu was carrying. Tell me what happened. Wu explained everything. The mockery, the sabotage, the challenge. Her grandmother listened without interrupting, her face growing more serious with each word. When Wu finished, her grandmother was quiet for a moment. Then she asked the important question. Will you show them the dragon? Yes. Are you sure? Once they see it, you can never hide again. They will know what you are, what we are. I'm sure they pushed too far. They need to understand. Her grandmother nodded slowly. Then remember what the dragon means. It's not just about strength or fighting. The dragon represents our history, our pain, our survival. When you show them the dragon, you show them thousands of years of human struggle, every war we fought, every enemy we faced, every time we fell down and got back up. That's a heavy burden to carry. I know, Wu said softly. Do you remember what your grandfather told you when you received the tattoo? Wu closed her eyes, remembering that day 5 years ago. She had been 18, just finishing her basic training. Her grandfather, a former soldier who had seen real combat on Earth, had taken her to the old tattoo master in Seoul. The process had taken 6 hours. The pain had been intense, but she hadn't made a sound. He said the dragon sleeps until it's needed, Wu recited from memory. He said a true warrior knows when to fight and when to wait. He said strength without wisdom is just violence, but wisdom without strength is just words. Her grandmother smiled. Your grandfather was a wise man. He carried the tiger tattoo just like Wu does now. Different symbol, same meaning. She leaned closer to the camera. Show them the dragon, my child. Teach them what humanity really is, but remember, the goal is not to hurt them. The goal is to make them understand. I will. I'm proud of you. Your grandfather would be proud too. Now go rest. You'll need your strength. The call ended. Wu sat in the darkness of her room for a long time. She removed her scarf carefully, looking at herself in the mirror. The dragon tattoo covered her neck and left shoulder in beautiful detail. Its scales were done in traditional Korean style, each one perfect. Its eyes seemed to look right at her, wise and ancient. She touched it gently. The skin was warm under her fingers. For a moment, just a brief moment, she thought she felt it move. 2 weeks later, the morning of the combat assessment arrived. Wu woke early and dressed carefully. She ate a light breakfast and stretched for an hour, preparing her body. Then she wrapped her scarf around her neck and shoulders, hiding the dragon one last time. When she arrived at the arena, it was already filled with hundreds of students. They were excited, talking loudly, waiting for the fights to begin. Yang was already in the preparation room, surrounded by his friends. He saw Wu and grinned. Ready to learn your place, human? Wu looked at him calmly. Yes, I'm ready for you to learn yours. The crowd above them roared with excitement. The teaching bout was about to begin. The arena was massive, built to host combat training for students from hundreds of different species. The fighting circle in the center was 50 meters wide, surrounded by energy barriers for safety. Above it, rows and rows of seats rose up like a metal mountain. Every seat was filled. Wu stood in the preparation tunnel, listening to the crowd. They were chanting Yang's name. Some were making jokes about how quickly the fight would end. A few were taking bets on how long the human would last. Most bets were under 2 minutes. Wu stood beside her. He looked worried. You can still withdraw, say you're sick. Nobody would blame you. Yes, they would, Wu said quietly, and I would blame myself. At least tell me you have a plan. Wu touched her scarf. I do. Will it hurt? Showing them the truth? Yes, it will hurt them more than it hurts me. She looked at her friend and smiled slightly. Don't worry, I've trained for this my whole life. Every human with the dragon mark has. We prepare for the day we might need to reveal ourselves. There are more, other humans with tattoos like yours. Many more. We are spread across Earth and now across the galaxy. Different marks for different lineages. Dragon, tiger, phoenix, and others. All with the same purpose, to remember what we are and to show it when necessary. The tunnel speaker crackled to life. "Participants, enter the arena." Wu took a deep breath. She walked forward into the light. The crowd's noise hit her like a physical force. Thousands of eyes watched her small figure cross the arena floor. She looked tiny in the huge space, a small human girl in simple training clothes and a colorful scarf. Yang entered from the opposite side. He walked slowly, confidently, his scales gleaming under the bright lights. He was a warrior in his prime, 7 feet of muscle and natural armor. His claws were extended, catching the light like knives. The crowd roared for him. Instructor stood at the edge of the fighting circle, serving as referee. His yellow eyes moved between the two fighters. "This is a teaching bout between Yang of Prime and Wu of Earth. Standard rules apply. No lethal force. No permanent damage. The match ends when one fighter surrenders, is knocked unconscious, or when I stop the fight. Do you both understand?" "Yes, instructor," Yang said loudly. "Yes, instructor," Wu said quietly. "Take your positions." They walked to opposite sides of the circle. Yang bounced on his feet, rolling his shoulders, showing off for the crowd. Wu stood still, her hands at her sides, breathing slowly and evenly. In the front row, watched carefully. She had seen combat before, but something about this fight felt different. The human girl was too calm, too quiet, like she was waiting for something. Raised his hand. The crowd went silent. Even the sounds of the station's air system seemed to fade away. For a moment, the entire arena held its breath. Dropped his hand. "Begin." Yang exploded forward. He crossed the circle in 3 massive strides, his claws aimed at Wu's chest. It was a straightforward attack, meant to end the fight in seconds. The crowd gasped. Some turned away, not wanting to see the human girl get hurt. Wu moved at the last possible moment. She stepped to the side, and Yang's claws passed through empty air where she had been standing. His momentum carried him forward off balance. Wu could have struck him then, but she didn't. She simply moved away, creating distance between them. Yang recovered quickly and turned around. His eyes were angry now. "Stand still, pray." He attacked again, this time with a combination of strikes, claw slashes, tail whips, and powerful kicks. Each attack was fast and precise, the result of years of training. Each attack would have seriously injured a normal human. But Wu wasn't normal. She dodged and deflected, moving with a grace that seemed impossible for someone so small. Her movements were economical, precise. She never moved more than necessary. When Yang's tail whipped toward her head, she ducked under it. When his claws reached for her, she stepped back just far enough to avoid them. The crowd started to murmur. This wasn't what they expected. The human was supposed to be helpless. She was supposed to fall within seconds. But 2 minutes passed, then 3, and she hadn't been hit once. Yang was breathing harder now. Frustration showed on his reptilian face. "Stop running, fight me." "I am fighting," Wu said calmly. "You just don't recognize it yet." Yang roared and charged again, putting all his strength into a massive downward strike with both claws. Wu didn't dodge this time. She stepped forward, inside his reach, and caught his wrists. The crowd gasped. It should have been impossible. A human catching a attack like that went against everything they knew about relative strength. But Wu held firm. Her small hands gripped Yang's wrists like steel. He tried to pull away, but she wouldn't let go. Confusion showed on his face. How was this possible? Wu looked up at him. "You wanted to teach me about combat. Let me teach you something instead." With her other hand, she reached up and pulled her scarf aside. The dragon tattoo was revealed. It covered her neck and left shoulder in intricate detail. The Eastern dragon coiled there in traditional Korean style, every scale perfect, every detail precise. But that wasn't what made the crowd fall silent. The tattoo was glowing. Deep crimson and gold light pulsed from the dragon's body, like it was alive. The light spread across Wu's skin, creating patterns that seemed to move and shift. The dragon's eyes glowed of awe, staring out at the crowd with ancient wisdom. In the front row's crystalline body flickered with surprise. "Impossible," she whispered. Instructor leaned forward, his eyes wide. He had never seen anything like this in 40 years of teaching. Wu's grip on Yang's wrists tightened. She twisted suddenly, smoothly, and the huge warrior went crashing to the ground. The impact shook the arena floor. Before he could react, Wu was on him. She moved so fast that most of the crowd couldn't follow her movements. What happened next wasn't a fight, it was a lesson. Wu demonstrated every major fighting style from human history. She used taekwondo kicks that came out of nowhere. She transitioned into judo throws that sent Yang flying across the circle. She applied aikido locks that made him cry out in pain. She struck with boxing combinations so fast they blurred together. She swept his legs with Thai techniques that looked simple but were devastatingly effective. Each style flowed into the next without pause. Thousand-year-old martial arts combined with modern fighting techniques. The dragon tattoo glowed brighter with each movement, pulsing like a heartbeat. Yang tried to fight back. He was a trained warrior after all, but nothing he did worked. Every attack was countered. Every technique was neutralized. Wu wasn't just defeating him, she was dismantling everything he thought he knew about combat. The crowd watched in absolute silence. Some had their mouths open in shock. Others leaned forward, unable to believe what they were seeing. A few of the more experienced fighters recognized individual techniques and felt their understanding of humans shift dramatically. Ho Yang's friend stood up in his seat. "This is impossible. Humans are weak. Everyone knows this." But the evidence was right in front of them. The small human girl was taking apart a warrior like he was a child, and she wasn't even breathing hard. Wu spun Yang around and put him in a chokehold. She spoke quietly, but in the silent arena everyone could hear. "You said humans have no warrior tradition. You were wrong. My species has been fighting since before we could write. We have more martial arts styles than most species have words. We turned combat into an art form, a science, a philosophy." She applied more pressure and Yang gasped. "You said we're prey species because we're small and soft. You were wrong about that too. We don't have claws, so we invented weapons. We don't have scales, so we invented armor. We don't have strength, so we invented technique. We took every disadvantage and turned it into an advantage." Yang struggled, but his strength was useless against her position. She had every leverage point locked down. "You want to know the real difference between humans and most galactic species?" Wu continued. "You evolved on peaceful worlds. Your wars were about resources and territory. They ended when they became too expensive." The dragon tattoo blazed brighter. "Humans evolved on Earth. Nothing on our planet wanted us to survive. Predators hunted us. Diseases killed us. Other humans fought us. We survived by being more adaptable, more stubborn, and more willing to do whatever it took to win. We didn't fight until it became too expensive. We fought until one side couldn't fight anymore." She released the chokehold and stepped back. Yang collapsed to the ground, coughing and gasping for air. Wu stood over him, the tattoo still glowing like a star. "That's what you don't understand about humans," she said, her voice carrying across the silent arena. "We learned to fight not because we were strong, but because we were weak. We had to become warriors just to survive. And now, thousands of years later, we carry that legacy in our blood, our culture, and our bodies." She touched the dragon tattoo and it pulsed once more. "This mark represents that legacy, the dragon that never surrenders, the warrior spirit that turns every challenge into strength. You mocked it. You mocked me. You mocked my entire species." Wu looked up at the crowd. Thousands of aliens stared back at her. They weren't laughing anymore. They weren't making jokes. They were silent, shocked, and perhaps for the first time, they understood what they were looking at. "Humans don't fight because we want to," Wu said clearly. "We fight because we know how to. We fight because our ancestors died learning these lessons, and they passed that knowledge down to us. Every technique, every strategy, every principle of combat, we paid for it in blood over thousands of years. She walked to the edge of the circle and looked at instructor. Is the lesson complete, instructor? Stared at her for a long moment. His warrior's eyes saw what others might miss, the perfect balance, the absolute control, the casual way she had dismantled a trained fighter. She had been holding back. Even now, even after showing them so much, she was still holding back. Yes, he said quietly, the lesson is complete. Winner, Wu of Earth. The crowd remained silent as Wu walked toward the exit tunnel. The dragon tattoo's glow began to fade, slowly returning to normal ink on her skin. She picked up her scarf and wrapped it back around her neck, hiding the dragon once more. Behind her, medical staff rushed to help Yang. He was alive, conscious, but his pride was shattered. He lay on the arena floor, staring at the ceiling, unable to comprehend what had just happened. In the tunnel, Wu was waiting. His eyes were wide. They saw, everyone saw. Yes, Wu said. Now they know. Now they understand what humans are, what we've always been. She touched her scarf one last time. Beneath the fabric, the dragon had stopped glowing completely. It was just a tattoo again, just ink and skin. But everyone who had been in that arena would remember the light. They would remember the lesson. The human girl wasn't prey. She was a warrior carrying the legacy of a warrior species, and the galaxy would never look at humans the same way again. The video spread across the galactic network within hours. Students who had been at the fight recorded it on their personal devices. By evening, millions of beings across hundreds of worlds had watched the small human girl defeat a warrior. By the next morning, billions had seen it. The video showed everything. The glowing tattoo, the impossible techniques, the way Wu moved like water and struck like lightning. Most importantly, it showed Yang, a proud warrior, lying defeated on the arena floor while a human half his size stood over him calmly. The reactions were explosive. Some species were terrified. They looked at their own history of peaceful evolution and compared it to the violence in humanity's past. They wondered what kind of species needed to invent so many ways to fight and kill. Several representatives from peaceful worlds called for restrictions on human students at galactic institutions. Other species were fascinated. Military academies across the galaxy suddenly wanted to study human combat techniques. Anthropologists rushed to download every piece of information about Earth they could find. History professors started teaching entire courses on human warfare. But most species were simply confused. They didn't understand how such a small, soft species could be so dangerous. They didn't understand the glowing tattoo. And they especially didn't understand why humans would hide this ability instead of showing it proudly. At the Galactic Academy, everything changed overnight. Wu walked through the corridors the next morning and students moved out of her way. Some stared at her with fear, others with respect, a few with curiosity, but nobody laughed anymore. Nobody made jokes about weak humans or prey species. In advanced combat theory class, the room fell silent when Wu entered. She walked to her usual seat in the back. Instructor watched her, his yellow eyes thoughtful. When everyone was seated, he began the lesson. Yesterday, you witnessed something important, he said. You saw a warrior tradition you didn't know existed. Today, we will discuss what you saw and what it means. He activated the hologram display and footage from Wu's fight appeared. He paused it at the moment when she revealed her tattoo. This marking, can you explain it, Wu? All eyes turned to her. Wu stood slowly, her hand moving to touch her scarf. It's called a dragon tattoo. In my culture on Earth, the dragon represents strength, wisdom, and the warrior spirit. This particular style comes from Korea, my homeland. The tattoo is a tradition passed down through certain families for over 2,000 years. And the glowing, asked. Her crystalline voice was gentle, genuinely curious. How is that possible? I don't fully understand the science, Wu admitted. The tattoo artists use special ink mixed with compounds that react to specific neural patterns. When the bearer enters a true combat state, when their training, focus, and ancestral knowledge all align, the ink activates. It glows, and the bearer gains access to combat skills that have been refined over countless generations. That's impossible, another student said. Knowledge can't be stored in a tattoo. Can it? Wu replied. The ink connects to the nervous system. Years of training create neural pathways in the brain. The tattoo enhances those pathways, helps the bearer access muscle memory and techniques faster than normal. It's not magic. It's advanced biotechnology mixed with ancient tradition. Instructor nodded slowly. Fascinating. And how many humans have these tattoos? I don't know the exact number. Thousands at least. Maybe tens of thousands. Different families have different marks. Dragon, tiger, phoenix, crane, bear, each representing different aspects of combat and warrior philosophy. The class was quiet, absorbing this information. Then Yang spoke. He was sitting in the front row, his usual seat, but he looked different, smaller somehow, less confident. Why did you hide it? He asked. If humans have this power, why not show it from the beginning? Why let everyone think you were weak? Wu looked at him for a long moment. Because strength without wisdom is just violence. My grandfather taught me that. The dragon should sleep whenever possible. We wear scarves, high collars, long sleeves. We hide the marks because revealing them means revealing our true nature. And our true nature is frightening. She walked to the front of the class, standing beside the instructor. Humans are a warrior species, yes, but we're also trying to be better than that. We've seen what happens when the warrior spirit runs free. We've seen the wars, the destruction, the death. We nearly destroyed our own planet multiple times, so we choose restraint. We choose peace. We hide the dragon because we don't want to be defined by violence anymore. But you showed it to us, Ho said. His forearms were crossed and he looked uncomfortable. You revealed it in the arena. Because you forced me to, Wu said simply. Because mockery and cruelty pushed me to a point where staying hidden would hurt humanity more than revealing the truth. Sometimes the dragon must wake. Sometimes people need to see what they're dealing with, but we never do it lightly. Instructor spoke again. The council has requested a formal presentation about human combat history. They want to understand what they saw. Will you help prepare this presentation? Yes, instructor. Over the next week, Wu worked with several professors and researchers to compile information about humanity. She showed them historical records, battle documentaries, philosophical texts about warfare written by Sun and Carl. She explained concepts that most galactic species had never encountered. The concept of total war, where entire nations mobilize every resource toward victory. The idea of fighting not just for land or resources, but for ideologies and beliefs. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction, where weapons became so powerful that using them would destroy everyone. The philosophy of never surrendering, of fighting to the last breath. The researchers were horrified. Professor, a peaceful mollusk-like being who taught galactic history, read about World War II and had to take a break. 6 years, 50 million dead, cities destroyed in single nights, and this was just one war among hundreds. Thousands, Wu corrected gently. Humans have been fighting organized wars for at least 5,000 years, maybe longer. We have records of battles from before we invented writing. Fighting is woven into every aspect of our history. Another researcher, a bird-like avian named, studied footage of modern human military training. She watched soldiers practicing with weapons, learning hand-to-hand combat, running through obstacle courses. Do all humans receive this training? Not all, but many. Most nations on Earth maintain military forces. Some require mandatory service, and even civilians often learn martial arts for sport, exercise, or self-defense. Combat training is a normal part of human culture. The presentation to the Academy Council was scheduled for the following week. Wu spent hours preparing, wanting to explain humanity honestly but fairly. She didn't want to make her species seem like monsters, but she also wouldn't hide the truth. The night before the presentation, she received an unexpected visitor. Yang stood outside her dormitory room looking uncomfortable. When she opened the door, he didn't meet her eyes. "Can I speak with you?" he asked quietly. "Come in." They sat on opposite sides of her small room. Yang looked around at the pictures from Earth, the simple furniture, the books and data pads stacked everywhere. It looked like any student's room. Nothing about it suggested the warrior he had faced in the arena. "I came to apologize," Yang said finally, "for everything. The mockery, the sabotage, the challenge. I was wrong about humans, about you." "Why were you so cruel?" Wu asked. "What did I do to deserve that treatment?" Yang was quiet for a long time. "The pride ourselves on being warriors. It's central to our identity, our culture, our place in the galaxy. When humans joined the galactic community, I saw you as weak, small, prey. And it made me angry because you were being treated as equals to us. I thought it diminished what it means to be a warrior." He finally looked at her. "But I was wrong. You're not prey pretending to be predators. You're something else entirely. You're predators who learn to pretend to be prey. You hide your strength, waiting for the moment you need it. That's," he struggled for words, "that's terrifying in a way I can't fully explain." "We don't want to be terrifying," Wu said softly. "We want to be peaceful. We want to build things instead of destroying them. We want to explore the galaxy, learn from other species, share what we know. The warrior part of humanity, we're trying to move beyond that." "Can you? Can any species really change its fundamental nature?" "I don't know," Wu admitted. "But we have to try, because the alternative is staying warriors forever, and that path leads only to destruction. My grandfather fought in wars on Earth. He killed people. He watched friends die. And at the end of it all, he told me that humanity's greatest victory would be learning when not to fight." Yang nodded slowly. "I understand now why you wear the scarf, why you hide the dragon. It's not shame, it's choice. You choose when to show your strength instead of letting it define you." "Yes. I want to learn from you," Yang said. "If you'll teach me, not just combat techniques, but the philosophy behind them. The wisdom that lets you hide the dragon and only wake it when necessary." Wu smiled slightly. "I'll teach you, but understand it's not easy. Learning to fight is hard. Learning when not to fight is harder." The next day, the presentation to the Academy Council drew a huge crowd. The council chamber could only hold 200 beings, but thousands more watched via live stream. Representatives from dozens of worlds attended, wanting to hear the truth about humanity directly. Wu stood before them, wearing her scarf as always. She had prepared a comprehensive presentation with historical data, cultural context, and philosophical explanations. She spoke for over an hour, answering questions honestly and completely. She showed them the world wars, the nuclear weapons, the Cold War, the endless cycle of violence that nearly destroyed Earth, but she also showed them how humanity changed. The international laws created to prevent genocide, the treaties banning certain weapons, the slow, painful process of building peace. "We're not proud of our violent history," she told them, "but we're also not ashamed of it. It made us who we are. It taught us lessons that peaceful species never needed to learn, and now we carry those lessons forward, hoping they'll help build a better future." When she finished, the council chamber was silent. Then Instructor stood. "I have fought in wars. I have trained warriors for 40 years. I thought I understood combat, but watching you in that arena, seeing the depth of human martial tradition, I realized how limited my understanding was. Humanity has something to teach the galaxy, not just about fighting, but about the discipline required to choose peace when you're capable of tremendous violence." Other council members spoke, asking questions, expressing concerns, but also showing respect. The tone was different from before. They were listening now, truly listening, trying to understand. As the meeting ended, Wu felt something shift. The galaxy was beginning to see humans differently, not as weak newcomers or terrifying monsters, but as a complex species with a complicated past, trying to build a better future. But as she walked back to her dormitory, an emergency alert sounded throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. A calm, automated voice announced, "All students report to assembly points. This is not a drill. Unknown vessels approaching the station. Security alert level maximum." Wu's hand moved to her scarf. The dragon was about to wake again, and this time the entire galaxy would see what humanity could really do. The station's alarm continued its steady wail. Students filled the corridors, moving toward designated assembly points. Most looked confused or scared. The Galactic Academy was supposed to be safe. It was in neutral space, protected by treaties, hosting students from every major civilization. Nobody attacked educational institutions. Wu pushed against the crowd, heading toward the command center instead of the assembly point. Security guards tried to stop her, but she showed them her emergency credentials. As a member of humanity's Diplomatic Protection Corps, she had clearance most students didn't know about. The command center was chaos. Station security officers shouted into communication devices. Holographic displays showed 6 ships approaching at high speed. They weren't big warships, but they were armed and dangerous, raiders from the lawless outer reaches. Commander Bell, a gray-skinned in charge of station security, looked exhausted. His species were peaceful administrators, not warriors. They maintained order through rules and procedures, not combat. "We've sent distress signals, but the nearest military response is 4 hours away. These raiders will be here in 30 minutes. "What do they want?" Wu asked. "What they always want: money, resources, hostages they can ransom back to wealthy families." Bell pulled up communication logs. "Their leader calls himself Tar. He's demanded we transfer all Academy funds to his accounts and allow his crew to board the station. If we refuse, he says he'll start killing students." "How many security personnel do you have?" 50. They're trained for crowd control and basic law enforcement, not combat, not war." Bell looked at Wu. "I saw your fight. I saw what you can do. Can you help us?" Before Wu could answer, Wu and rushed into the command center. They were the other 2 human students, and like Wu, they wore scarves that hid their necks. Wu was tall and lean, while was small and quick, but both moved with the same controlled grace Wu had. "We came as soon as we heard," Wu said. "What's the situation?" Wu explained quickly. The other humans listened, their faces growing serious. When she finished, spoke. "We need to contact Earth Command. This is exactly why they sent us here." "There's no time," Wu said. "Those ships will be here in less than 30 minutes. We have to act now." "Act how?" Commander Bell asked. "You're 3 students. They have 6 ships and probably 100 raiders." Wu turned to him. "Do we have your authorization to engage the enemy?" Bell looked shocked. "You mean fight them, your students? I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. We're volunteering. But we need your official authorization. We need permission to use whatever force is necessary to protect this station and its students." Bell looked at the displays showing the approaching ships, then at the 3 young humans standing before him. They were so small, so calm, but he remembered the video from the arena. He remembered what Wu had done to a trained warrior. "You have my authorization," he said quietly. "Do whatever you need to do." The 3 humans nodded. Together, they reached up and removed their scarves. Wu's dragon glowed crimson and gold on her neck and shoulder. Wu revealed a massive tiger tattoo across his back, orange and black with fierce eyes. Showed a phoenix rising from flames on her arm, brilliant red and gold. All 3 tattoos began to glow with inner light. The security officers in the command center stared. They had heard about Wu's tattoo, but seeing 3 of them at once was overwhelming. The light from the tattoos cast strange shadows across the room. "We're not just students," Wu said, her voice different now, harder, colder, with an edge of command. "We're members of humanity's Diplomatic Protection Corps. Earth sent us here to prove humanity's value to the galactic community. This is our job." She turned to Commander Bell. "Give us access to your security network. We need to see the station layout, all entry points, and your personnel roster. Also, seal all critical areas. If raiders board, we want to control where they go." "How do you plan to fight over 100 raiders with 3 people?" Bell asked. "We won't fight them," Wu said, his tiger tattoo pulsing. "We'll teach your security force how to fight them. Humans don't just know combat, we know how to turn non-combatants into effective fighters quickly. It's one of our specialties." For the next 20 minutes, the station transformed. The 3 humans moved through the security force like lightning, teaching, positioning, and preparing. They explained concepts that most galactic species had never considered. Ambush points, fields of fire, the principle of fighting from cover, the importance of communication, how to use the station's own structure as a weapon, how to make the raiders come to them on ground they controlled. Wu gathered 50 security officers in the main docking bay. Most looked terrified. They were administrators and law enforcement, not soldiers. "Listen carefully," she said. "You're scared. That's good. Fear keeps you alert, but you need to control the fear, not let it control you." She walked among them, making eye contact with each one. "The raiders are expecting easy prey, civilians who surrender immediately. They're not expecting resistance. That's our advantage. We're going to hit them hard, fast, and in ways they don't expect. We're going to make them afraid of us." Yang stepped forward. After his defeat, he had spent every day studying human combat philosophy. "I'll fight with you. My people are warriors. Let me help." "Me too," said, her crystalline body shimmering. "I may be peaceful by nature, but I understand mathematics. I can calculate optimal firing solutions for the security forces." More students volunteered. Ho with his 4 arms. Other species who had watched Wu's fight and understood that humans knew something valuable about survival. Within minutes, the defense force doubled in size. The raiders' ships docked. Airlock indicators showed enemy forces boarding at 3 points. Tar's voice came over the station's communication system, arrogant and cruel. "Attention, Academy, we're coming in. Don't resist and most of you will survive. Resist and we'll make examples." Wu smiled coldly. "Let them come." The first group of raiders entered through docking bay 3. There were 20 of them, heavily armed, expecting terrified civilians. Instead, they found an empty bay. Then the lights went out. In the darkness, the raiders panicked. They fired weapons wildly, hitting nothing. They didn't see the security officers positioned in cover, wearing low-light goggles Wu had distributed. They didn't see Wu drop from the ceiling onto their leader. The tiger tattoo blazed orange in the darkness. Wu moved through the raiders like a predator through prey. He didn't kill them, Wu had been clear about that, but he disabled them efficiently. Broken bones, knocked unconscious, disarmed and restrained. The security officers watched in awe as the human warrior took apart 20 armed raiders in less than 2 minutes. When the lights came back on, all 20 raiders were on the ground, groaning or unconscious. Not a single security officer had been hurt. "See," Wu's voice came through their communicators. "They're not invincible, they're just bullies, and bullies fall apart when you fight back." The second group entered through Bay 5. This time, they found resistance immediately. Security officers fired from cover, using stun weapons effectively. Ho blocked a corridor with his massive body, his 4 arms grabbing raiders and throwing them back. Calculated trajectories and called out targeting information that let the officers hit with perfect accuracy. But it was who truly showed what humans could do. Her phoenix tattoo burning bright, she moved through the battle like fire itself. Where Wu was controlled and Wu was powerful was chaos. She used the environment as a weapon, throwing cargo containers, triggering emergency systems, creating confusion and terror among the raiders. "What are these things?" one raider screamed into his communicator. "They're everywhere, they're too fast." The third and largest group of raiders, led by Tar himself, entered through the main docking bay. Tar was massive, nearly 9 feet tall, from a heavy-gravity world that made him incredibly strong. He had fought his way across the outer reaches for 20 years, and he had never lost a battle. He expected to find the station's defenders broken and scared. Instead, he found Wu standing alone in the center of the bay, her dragon tattoo glowing like a star. "You're the human everyone's talking about," Tar said. His voice was deep, amused. "The little girl with the magic tattoo. I watched the video, impressive, but you were fighting a student. I'm the real thing." "So am I," Wu replied. Tar laughed and signaled his raiders to hang back. "This will be fun. I'll beat you, then I'll use you as an example to make this station surrender." They fought in the center of the docking bay. Tar was everything he claimed: strong, fast, experienced. His people had been warriors for 1,000 years. He had killed opponents from a dozen different species. But Wu was something he had never encountered before. She was a warrior from a species that had been fighting itself for 5,000 years. Every technique she used was refined through countless battles. Every movement was the result of generations of martial artists perfecting their craft. Tar's strength meant nothing when Wu used leverage against him. His experience meant nothing when she used techniques he had never seen. His confidence shattered when he realized he couldn't touch her, while every one of her strikes landed exactly where she wanted. The dragon tattoo blazed brighter with each exchange. Wu's grandfather had told her once that the mark didn't give power, it revealed power that was always there. Right now, facing this brutal raider who had hurt so many people, she felt that power flowing through her completely. She swept Tar's legs, used his own momentum to throw him across the bay, struck pressure points that made his arms go numb, locked his joints in ways that caused agonizing pain without permanent damage. And through it all, she spoke calmly. "You prey on the weak. You hurt people who can't fight back. You think that makes you strong." She avoided his wild swing and struck his knee, making him stumble. But real strength isn't about hurting people weaker than you. Real strength is protecting people. Real warriors fight to defend, not destroy. Tar tried to rush her, using his bulk as a weapon. Wu and used a judo throw her grandfather had taught her when she was 8 years old. The massive raider flew through the air and crashed into the deck so hard it dented the metal. He didn't get up. Wu stood over him, breathing steadily, the dragon tattoo still glowing. Around the bay, security officers were restraining the other raiders. Not one defender had been seriously hurt. They had won. The battle for the station was over in less than an hour. All the raiders were captured or had retreated to their ships and fled. Station security, trained in human tactics for just 30 minutes, had performed perfectly. The students who volunteered to help had followed instructions exactly. Together, they had defended their home. In the days after, the story spread even faster than the video of Wu's fight. The galaxy learned that 3 human students had saved an entire station. They learned that humans could teach peaceful species how to defend themselves. They learned that humanity's warrior tradition wasn't just about personal combat. It was about strategy, tactics, and turning disadvantages into advantages. Representatives from dozens of worlds contacted Earth, requesting human military advisors, not to wage war, but to learn how to defend against those who would. The peaceful species of the galaxy realized they had been vulnerable, and humanity could teach them how to stay safe without becoming violent themselves. At the Academy, everything changed. The 3 humans were no longer seen as curiosities or charity cases. They were recognized as protectors, teachers, and examples of what humanity could offer the galactic community. 1 week after the battle, Wu sat in instructor's office. The old warrior looked at her with new eyes. "I fought in the border wars. I thought I understood combat. But what you did here, coordinating the defense, training non-combatants, defeating Tar, that was beyond anything I've seen." "You're a good warrior, instructor," Wu said. "But humans have been training warriors for longer than most species have had space travel. We've refined it into a science." "Will you teach a class?" asked. "Human combat philosophy. I think many students would want to learn." "I'll teach," Wu agreed. "But not just combat. I'll teach why combat should be the last option. I'll teach the wisdom that says the best victory is one where nobody has to fight." Nodded slowly. "Teach both. Teach them how to fight and when not to fight. That balance, that's what the galaxy needs to learn from humanity." That evening, Wu stood on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. Her scarf was wrapped around her neck again, hiding the dragon. Wu joined her, their marks also hidden once more. "They understand now," said. "They see what humans are." "They see part of it," Wu corrected. "They see the warrior. They don't fully understand the choice we make to hide the warrior, the discipline that takes." "Will they learn?" Wu asked. "I hope so." Wu touched her scarf. "I hope we can teach them that true strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about knowing when to hit and when to hold back. It's about protecting instead of destroying." Behind them, Yang approached. He had spent the past week studying with Wu every day, learning not just techniques but philosophy. "I understand now why you wear the scarf," he said. "It's a reminder, to you and to others. The dragon sleeps because you choose to let it sleep." "Yes," Wu said. "The dragon represents everything humans were: violent, aggressive, fighting constantly. But the scarf represents what we're trying to become: peaceful, thoughtful, choosing restraint over reflex." She looked out at the galaxy, at the thousands of inhabited worlds, at all the species trying to build something better together. "My grandfather told me that humanity's greatest victory would be learning when not to fight. I think the galaxy's greatest victory will be learning the same lesson. And maybe, just maybe, we can teach them." The dragon slept again, hidden beneath silk and fabric. But everyone at the Galactic Academy knew it was there. They knew that if danger threatened, if innocent people needed protection, the dragon would wake. They knew that humanity would stand between the weak and those who would hurt them. And that knowledge changed everything. Students no longer mocked the human girl with the scarf. They asked to learn from her. They showed respect not because they feared her but because they understood her. She was a warrior who chose peace, a predator who protected prey, a dangerous being who used that danger only to defend. She was human, and the galaxy was learning that humanity was so much more than they had imagined. In her dormitory room that night, Wu video called her grandmother one last time. "It's done. They've seen the dragon. They understand now." Her grandmother smiled, wrinkles deepening around her kind eyes. "I'm proud of you. Your grandfather would be proud too. You showed them our strength, but more importantly, you showed them our wisdom. They want to learn from us now, not just combat but the philosophy behind it." "Good, teach them well. Teach them that the dragon's greatest power isn't in waking, it's in choosing to sleep. Teach them that true warriors build peace, not war." The call ended. Wu prepared for bed, her scarf folded neatly on her desk for tomorrow. Through her window, the stars shone bright and peaceful. The galaxy was vast and full of different species, all trying to coexist. And now, humanity had found its place among them. Not as the weakest, not as the strongest, but as teachers who could help everyone understand that strength means nothing without the wisdom to use it well. The dragon slept, dreaming of peace. And that dream, more than any battle, was humanity's true gift to the stars.